We've had the first, now we need to discuss the worst. These are the top 5 worst looking jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics as voted by you, the community. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including my ongoing coverage of Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, whether that be guides, news, gameplay discussion, art design discussion, or the like, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So, following up from our previous best looking jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics video, we of course do need to talk about what you all have decided are the absolute villains of Drip, the most sauceless of folks to ever walk across the land of Ivalice, and we have 5 entries here for you. I dare say that these are not going to be particularly contentious choices, although we'll see what people decide to try to defend, what hills they will die on in the comments. Speaking of the comments, please do not spend your time commenting, why does this job have this skill? Don't you know that this does not actually help you in any way, shape, or form? Yes, I know. I just was changing characters to the jobs that I needed to represent in this video. Don't come at me. I can't believe I have to explain this. I'm not going to worry about spending the time to craft a perfect build for X character who never actually uses this job. They were just the first one I found that had the job available to them to represent it. With that out of the way, what is our first offender for the absolute Sultans of Suck for their appearance? Well, you may not be surprised to learn it's male arithmetician, here represented by poor Izzy, who fortunately is never actually an arithmetician, because boy howdy, this is a hell of an ugly class. Like, man, I'm honestly surprised that this isn't higher up in the list. This is the lowest of the 5 in terms of overall votes, but it definitely deserves to be here. I mean, brother, what is with the mohawk? If you were going to give a mohawk to a character in a medieval fantasy setting, why are you giving it to the math nerd? Like, a mohawk is a hard look to pull off and actually have it look good. It can absolutely be done, don't get me wrong. But we're going to give it to the dude with the Dracula cloak with the giant collar who uses maths to bend reality to his will. Like, it's a very cool job, but man, it just really doesn't scream punk rock to me. And yet we have the mohawk here to, I don't know, use as a sundial to calculate where the sun is going to be so you know how to cast your math spells. It makes no sense to me, man. I mean, it definitely does make him look like a dork. I can see it from that perspective if that's what the developers were going for. It's definitely a dorky vibe to have, especially combined with like the giant lead apron thing that's clasped to the front. Man, what is going on with this guy? He looks more like an X-ray technician that I'd find in a modern hospital than someone calculating the rotation of the sun. Yeah, if there's some like historical reference or expectation that this was actually a look that people went for back in the day, especially those in the sciences, by all means do let me know if I'm in the wrong here. Like, I will absolutely take that L because it'll be interesting to learn about. But as it stands, yeah, the arithmetician is unforgivably ugly, and personally, I would put it higher in this list. But, you know, we're going by your guys' votes here, though I do definitely agree with you. It is a butt-ugly job. Moving on to our number 4 slot, this one is perhaps a little bit less surprising. It is Female Dragoon. This one, it's rough, man. Female Dragoon, I feel like, suffers more than many other jobs from the actual sprite work for it. The normal artwork is fine, I would say. The visor is still kind of weird because, much like with Male Dragoon, you kind of get the idea it's like, oh, it's supposed to look like a dragon head, whatever. But it only looks like that when the visor is up, as opposed to Male Dragoon, where when the visor is closed, the helmet looks like a dragon's face. So it's kind of like, well, it's just going to be a flat plate of metal in front of your head that's going to be incredibly hard to see out of. And it's also not really going to look like a face. So it's kind of weird. And then you look at the actual sprite work, and it's really hard to add that depth that the actual class artwork has. So it just kind of looks like a duck. A metallic duck, to be sure. But then you put that together with the dress over the armor, and it's weird. It feels stubby, unfulfilling. I mean, I definitely don't like this one. Whenever I've used dragoons in the past, I've always loathed if I had to use one that was female, just based off of the appearance alone. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with the job functionally on female units versus male units, but just, the visor is so weird. And then you don't have the cool flowing cape, and I just don't like it. I totally understand why people have this one on the list. It is certainly a stinker in a list of certifiable stanky things. Speaking of which, moving on to number 3, we have the Thief. And you want to talk about a character that probably stinks. I mean, this looks less like a proper professional thief and more like just some gutter wench. Like, this is a 15-year-old wearing like a smock and a belt and her clogs, running around picking pockets. And like, on the one hand, it certainly suits the overall idea of what a thief in the sort of setting of Ivalice would probably look like. But like, with the bandana tied around the head, it's just ugly, man. None of the colors seem to fit with each other. There's a certain sleek Errol Flynn sort of swag that the male thief has. Like, he looks jaunty and jovial and kind of like a man with a heart of gold who still steals from the rich and gives to the poor and that type of thing. Like, it's a very appealing look, especially because the colors match very well. But the red with the yellow, with the green and the black and the actual sprite, even the artwork itself, like, it just feels weird. And then you, of course, get like the oversized gloves and everything that Tactics is known for, but looks so much worse when you're just using basic clothing. Yeah, I don't know, man. Female thief is rough. It really doesn't even look like a thief, honestly. It just kind of looks like a chick. Just like, yep, here's a person with a bandana. Maybe they're out like selling some wares, or maybe like, I don't know, doing a little bit of scouting ahead of an army or something, but it just doesn't feel right. And it emphasizes some of the weird proportions that Tactics has as well, which certainly does not do it any favor. That's one of the weaker aspects of the art style for Tactics as a whole. Most of the jobs get away with it due to either the bulkiness of armor or clothing or just the overall structure of the design. But Female Thief, I just don't like it. I feel like there'd be better ways to make a more dashing, interesting-looking thief equivalent to the male version that they just were not able to pull off here. Also, maybe like in higher fidelity games or games where you could have like a larger sprite or a greater color palette or something, you could make this overall style of design look better. But as it is, just like, yeah, we put a bag on her head and that's, yeah, she fell into a bargain bin at Costco or Goodwill or something, and this is how she popped out. Not my favorite look. Not my favorite look. Moving on to number 2, we have another another bargain bin reject, but like way more severe this time. I actually don't necessarily agree with this choice, but it is male mime. Now, the mimes are very interesting because they're obviously meant to invoke the appearance of different types of animals or mythical creatures. Male mime clearly is meant to have a toucan on their head and then has a sort of overall like sweater, but also tribal native look from various different cultures. And personally, I really like it, actually. I think the mime is really cool, especially when you see the full splash art and you're able to get the full effect of what it's going for. And given the fact that the mime as a job is super weird and doesn't really function like anything else, it stands out, and I really like it. The colors also, I feel like, really blend well together. The yellows and greens and reds kind of gives it like a harvesty autumnal vibe that I really enjoy. And all of the art for it really fits. Like, is it medieval fantasy? No, not necessarily. But for something as odd as the mime job is, I do think it does its job very well. That said, there are definitely some issues with it. The intricacies of the splash art definitely are not reflected on the actual class sprite, and that definitely is kind of sad. It's hard to pick out a lot of the details of what you're meant to be looking at until you're able to compare it to the splash art as a whole, in which case the picture does start to come together more. But as it stands, you kind of just get like this backward-facing toucan head on the job sprite, and it is certainly a little odd. But it's hard for me to really decry this one too much. Of course, I can't gainsay you guys because this was your vote, not mine. But I don't know. I like the mime. I like the mime here. I'm curious to see if there's a bunch of people in the comments that agree with me that they actually think male mime is pretty good. But at the end of the day, it was the second highest vote in terms of the ugliest jobs in FFT. So I got to give it to you guys. And maybe if we had, again, much like with Female Thief, higher fidelity artwork, or we had maybe like more recent sprite work that could show better detail in comparison to the splash art, it would come across better, but as it stands, there are definitely some issues, and I can understand why. Finally, though, and this one I don't think is going to have any major dispute whatsoever, because just on an anatomical basis, what the fuck are we looking at? It is the male geomancer. This is an interesting one. The micro nipple covering crop top, the bizarre, like, cinched waist, where are your ribs, overall physique of the torso. Like, it's kind of muscular, but kind of like skeletal and unhealthy looking. The long flowing hair that I'm not entirely sure is actually hair. I'm guessing it kind of is, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it was like some sort of weird, like, hat thing, like the male protagonist of the 3rd gen of Pokemon. Like, it's just a weird looking job, man. The actual sprite I do like a whole lot more. I do think it comes together a lot better with its overall colors and the general detail that you can see. It flows a little bit better, and again, I can kind of get that you're supposed to get that sort of druidic, shamanistic vibe from it that it has with all of, like, the elemental earth-based spells and everything. But man, it's just weird, and it especially once you see the splash art, it gets way more funky. It's kind of the opposite of male mime, honestly, where I like the job sprite a lot more, but as soon as you see the actual overall art, it gets way harder to defend. Whereas with the male mime, the overall splash art is really, really good, but that's not really reflected in the actual sprite. So yeah, I'm not surprised that Geomancer is here. Just the freaky, almost cryptid look of the body in the full splash art is a really hard sell here. And then you've got the sort of, like, again, crop top look with the gloves, even in the job sprite, the exposed midriff. It kind of looks like almost like they've got a hoodie tied off around their waist. Like, brother, you're not ready for combat. I'm not even sure if you're ready for the club. I don't think this fashion disaster should be anywhere in sight of anybody else. You should probably trim the hair while you're at it as well. It just does not suit the look. So I totally understand the male Geomancer is not the look for a lot of people. I fully endorse it being at the top of this list. It is overall a very ugly job, and female Geomancer sells the exact same aesthetic far, far better. And that, my friends, are the 5 most ugly, absolutely sauceless jobs in Final Fantasy Tactics, as voted by you, the community. Of course, I do fully expect that there's going to be a lot of dissent in the comments, folks who are expecting a different job to be high in the ranking of absolutely most ugly thing around, and those of you who are like, I absolutely love male Geomancer. I think it's the best looking, most interesting and unique job in the game. How dare you be so negative about it? And I fully endorse it, because you know what? You are absolutely entitled to your opinion, even if I and others don't agree with you. Hope to see some good discussion about why you believe X, Y, or Z job is better looking or worse looking than we discussed here. And this is a very fun little duology of videos to do. If there are similar types of videos you would like to see me do in the future discussing any and all aspects of the game, do please let me know. But for now, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Thank you, as always, to all of our direct channel supporters. You can see their names scrolling by on the right-hand side of the screen right this very second. You guys make it so much easier to keep going with this whole YouTube thing, especially right now when I'm going through a lot of personal family issues and health problems with my overall family. Thank you all so much for that continued direct support. If you would like to join these illustrious folks, you can find links to do so through Patreon or my YouTube members in the comments and the description down below. For now, though, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there, everybody. And remember, be good to each other, y'all. Bye now.